I'd like to call to order the Lowell Area Schools Regular School Board of Education meeting, March 9th at 7 o'clock. You guys already stood to stand?
Yeah, we
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Additions or changes to the agenda? Public comments on agenda items? And our first order of business then is our student council report.
Good evening, everyone. As we begin our third trimester at the high school, there is quite a sense of momentum. Students and staffs are settling into our final stretch of the year with excitement and a little pressure as we head towards the finish line. Seniors especially, since we have a week less than the previous year. We have a lot to get done in an even shorter amount of time, although we aren't complaining about our early release. Along with the beginning of a new trimester, we also have our spring sports starting up, which brings much excitement as it warms up outside. Athletes are preparing for their seasons ahead and are ready to get back into their routines. We also have several events coming up at the high school. On March 12th, we will be hosting a unified basketball game at 7 p.m. These games have been a highlight to many of our students this school year and are focusing a lot on inclusion and encouragement while we cheer on all of the students on the court. Students are also getting involved in the River City Alliance volunteering competition. It has been amazing to see so many students stepping up to give their time and make a positive impact on our community. Along with giving back to our community, we have our blood drive coming up this March 18th. We highly encourage the community to make their way to the high school and donate if possible. Every donation saves 3 lives, and it is a simple thing to do that can make such a big difference to someone's life. On another note, our school musical was this past weekend, and it was a great success. Cast and crew have put in so much work and time to make this performance the best that it can be. We have truly loved being able to share our hard work with the community, so if you have yet to make it to a show, I highly encourage you to. We have 2 remaining shows this weekend, March 13th and 14th at 7 p.m. Trust me, if you haven't seen the show yet, you won't want to miss it. Following that, we have spring break right around the corner, which students are counting down the days till. We are all looking forward for a little recharge before our final push towards the end of our school year. Overall, the start of our trimester is full of lots of excitement and much to do. Students will be staying busy for these last few months, and it is clear we will be making the most of the time that we have left. Thank you all for your time and support. This has been your Student Council Report for March 9th, 2026. Your Student Representative, Gianna Gates-Dupree.
Thank you. Next order of business is our consent grouping. This is board approval for the minutes of February 9th, our regular meeting, February 23rd, our work session, February 23rd, our closed session. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the minutes as presented. Could I get a motion to accept this? Moved by Jen. Could I get support? Support by Lori. Any comments?
Regular
Stuff?
monthly business, paying the bills and approval of minutes.
Are there minutes from the closed session? No, we don't include those. Okay, perfect, thanks. I didn't know if just what we talked about, thank you.
Do you need them, Jen?
No,
Oh, okay, sorry.
no, I just want to make sure that missing anything.
Okay.
Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent grouping as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The the next part of our agenda is a report on the 5-year state assessment performance.
All right, yeah, thank you. So we received a peer comparison report a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to share with the board. This is not new information. This is based on publicly available data from mischool.org and is a summary of 5 years of our student achievement data. But what's unique about this report is they take it and put our data in context with all of the other public schools in the state of Michigan. So it gives us a quick and easy way to see how we're doing comparatively across the state. I wanted to look at this information in the context of our strategic action plan. So we looked at this back in the fall, did a review of the board strategic action plan. This is the student achievement page of that plan. You can see that there are 6 action areas in terms of student achievement in the strategic action plan. Those are represented here, so I wanted to give the board and the community just a sense of what has been going on in each of these areas over the past 3 to 4 years. We have a school improvement goal in 3 areas in math, reading, and belonging. That MICIP acronym, that's Michigan Continuous Improvement Process. We're required by the state of Michigan to have an improvement plan and to monitor the improvement plan. We're in year 3 of a 5-year plan at this time, but those are also areas of our strategic action plan related to student achievement. In the past 3 to 5 years, we've developed vertical alignment teams in each of those 3 areas to ensure that we have consistent programming K-12 in our goal areas. Those teams have developed what we call an articulated vision in their individual areas, so a vision for math instruction, a vision for reading instruction, and a vision for student belonging. We've also developed K-5 project teams in math and reading. Those teams are intended to ensure that we have good, guaranteed, and viable curriculum across all of the different buildings at each grade level so that we're consistent from one elementary to the next in our Tier 1 instruction. Our elementary buildings have also implemented grade level problem solving, so they bring the grade levels together to review the project work and ensure that what we're doing is meeting the needs of all learners, and then they develop plans based on student evidence if they see a need for something to change in terms of improving student learning outcomes. We've implemented Reveal Math K-8, a Tier 1 math resource. We've implemented OpenCore K-5, and we've established Tier 2 intervention as part of our MTSS system across the district now with the implementation of flex time at the middle school. We now have Tier 2 intervention K-12. All of those things are continuous processes. We continue to work on them. So we review the evidence of student learning outcomes, and we make adjustments as time goes on. That's why we've committed to the PLC at Work process, and we developed a bi-weekly collaborative meeting structure so that we can bring teams across the district together every 2 weeks to review all of this work and ensure that we're staying focused on our goals and that we're demonstrating improvement. We've also doubled down on our commitment to multi-tiered systems of support, and so we're reviewing that work across the district to ensure that we have good Tier 1 programming in every area, what we do to meet the needs of all students, that we have good Tier 2 intervention and support processes. That's what we do when students demonstrate that they need additional time or support to respond to Tier 1 instruction, and then also Tier 3 intensive supports. What do we do for students who demonstrate that they need significant time and investment in order to ensure that they are achieving success in the instructional program? And then we've had lots of conversation around the instructional technology initiative, the transition to Google Workspace that has now been completed. We've developed a district technology team so that we're getting input from every building across the district related to our instructional technology. And those team members also serve as the first line of support at each building related to instructional technology implementation. And we restructured the curriculum office this year to add some administrative support for instructional technology and enrollment. So those are, that's a summary of the work that has been done related to the strategic plan in the area of student achievement. And this is a look at the impact of that work based on this 5-year peer comparison across the state of Michigan. So as of last year, Lowell area schools was performing in the 94th percentile in English language arts. That's based on state assessment, grades 3 through 12. We were performing in the 96th percentile when compared to all public schools in the state of Michigan in math, the 95th percentile in science, and the 86th percentile in social studies. So performing in the top 15% of all content areas and in the top 4 to 6% in math, ELA, and science. When you look at that at a more local perspective, Lowell area schools right now ranks number 23 out of all districts in the state of Michigan in math and 34 in the state of Michigan in English. And that's compared to an average ranking across Kent County of 150, an average ranking in the ISD of 155, and then this peer group, that's all of the schools across the state of Michigan that have similar demographic makeup. The average in that cohort is 180, and so clearly we are outperforming those peer cohorts. In terms of ELA performance, our proficiency rate across the district ranges from 63% of students demonstrating proficiency to 73%, and that places us in the 91st to 94th percentile, depending on the level that you look at. 94th percentile in the elementary building, 92nd at the middle level, and then 91st at the high school level. We see similar performance in the area of math, where the district has consistently ranked at the 96th percentile. I think this visual is particularly important because you see the pre-pandemic testing in 2018-19, where we were in the 92nd percentile, and I think most districts would celebrate performing in the 92nd percentile, but we improved on that coming out of the pandemic and have maintained consistency in the area of math for the previous 4 test cycles. We see similar gains and performance in the area of science, where the district has improved from the 83rd percentile in the 2021-22 school year to the 95th percentile as of the last test cycle in 24-25. We want to celebrate the areas where we see success, but we also want to use the evidence to focus on things where we can demonstrate improvement. We are performing in the top 15% in the state in the area of social studies, but there is a gap in social studies as it relates to performance in the other core areas in Lowell area schools. And so we already have teams that are responding to this evidence and thinking about, are there alignment issues in our social studies curriculum? Are there areas where we need to improve our intervention processes related to social studies? That work has already begun so that we can look to drive that number up into the 90th percentile range like the other content areas. I wanted to highlight this number. When you look at our performance over the last 5 years, we've seen significant improvement in our special education population related to math. Our students with IEPs in the 2018-19 school year were in the 54th percentile. That number has improved 30 percentile points over the last 4 years. That cohort is now performing at the 89th percentile when compared to other systems across the state of Michigan. We started several years ago with the My Student Voice Perception Survey series. That is, for this year, is currently in process. Our educators completed their survey on Friday. The educator survey closed. The student survey opened today, and then there's a parent survey that's part of this series as well. But you can see, again, improvement in the area of student wellness. We're at 68% students reporting positive wellness, and that's up 3.5% from the 23-24 school year. 64.3% of students report a positive sense of belonging last year on the My Student Voice, again up 2% from the 23-24 school year. And then this is just kind of a summary of some of the information that we pull from the educator and the student perception surveys. Again, I think there's a lot of positive here to celebrate, but also some areas that we can learn from and focus on in terms of developing plans to ensure that we are continuously improving in all 3 of our goal areas. Again, those 3 goal areas in math, reading, and belonging, we're in year 3 of a 5-year plan. So next year will be year 4, where we work to continue improvement in those areas. And then we'll have to reassess in that final year to determine if we need to double down on those goals, or do we need to identify other areas where we want to demonstrate improvement as a system. So a lot of, I think, positive information when you look at that data, not just in terms of student proficiency or student growth, but also how we're performing against the state of Michigan. Any questions?
Science has me intrigued. Is there, I mean, it's phenomenal, I mean, the growth, but, I mean, what do you attribute to that rapid growth? And then, I mean, the numbers are pretty astounding.
And when you look at some of the growth areas, there are a number of areas where the numbers are significant like that. Right now, my theory is that that's related to the work that we've done around intervention structures, MTSS, making sure that we have good first instruction, but then we're responding when students demonstrate that they didn't learn it the first time. And we're doing that at a tier 2 level in real time, what they need, when they need it, as soon as we can get it to them, instead of waiting for some assessment 2 or 3 weeks later. And then that commitment to the PLC process, I think staff members are understanding more and more what those biweekly meetings are intended for. We should be using that time to look at evidence of student learning and then make adjustments in our tier 1 and tier 2 systems as quickly as we can to respond to the student information. So a lot of the improvement, I think, is really just related to creating the structure for staff members to do their work effectively.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, the next order is our action items. The first action item is the bond authorizing resolution. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the bond authorizing resolution as recommended. The refunding bonds are for the purpose of refinancing the school district outstanding 2015 refunding bonds and the 2016 refunding bonds, Series B. Could I get a motion to bring this item to order?
So moved.
Moved by Lori. Could I get support?
I'll support.
Support by Jessica. Questions or comments?
It's an opportunity to save our taxpayers some money, so through the bond refunding process. So I will turn it over to Ms. Hodge to explain a little bit more some of the details of the resolution you'll be voting on.
So this resolution allows us to move forward with the refunding of 2 of our bond issues, the 2015 bond issue and the 2016 B bond issue. There were 3 in 2016, so this would just be for one of them. Typically, about 10 years before the final maturity of a bond issue, there's a callable date, and that is when we would be eligible to refund the bonds. So we are reaching that point with the 2016 B bond issue. The 2015 bond issue we hit last year, but being that there wasn't a whole lot left on that bond, the market wasn't in a position where it made a whole lot of sense to refund that one. The cost to do the refunding didn't pay for the savings. So now that we have this additional bond issue that's eligible for a refunding, our financial advisor has looked at those numbers and determined that we're in a really good spot to save some money. So this would, the best way to describe this is it's like refinancing your mortgage on your house. You're going to borrow a new bond issue to pay off the old one at a lower interest rate, and so it saves us money in interest. Even with the cost of issuing the bonds, we're expecting to see about a $280,000 savings in interest over the next 10 years. So significant enough that it didn't make sense not to take advantage of it. So the resolution that you're approving tonight would allow us to move forward and start getting all of the documents prepared for a competitive sale. It does not lock us into a sale if there were to be changes in the market where it no longer made sense to issue these bonds. But this at least gets us forward so that we can move through with that one. What we would be doing is selling the bonds at the end of April, and then we would be presenting them, April, and then we would be presenting them to the board for a final vote in May.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the bond authorization resolution as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next order of business is a gift to the district. The following gift is presented for formal board acceptance. It's a recommendation that the Board of Education accept the following gift as presented. Flute and clarinet donated by Eric Satterlee totaling $3,000. Could I get a motion to bring this item to order?
So moved.
I'll support.
Annie?
Yep.
Annie, support. Questions, comments?
Just appreciate the donation, yeah, thank you, there's some really nice instruments for our band program.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next order of business is our information sessions. The first order is our human resource update. Mr. Shahaki.
Yeah, thanks. So last Thursday, we met again with the Drivers Association. And after the last board workshop, when we were in closed session, we were able to give a counter proposal that was tentatively agreed upon on that day, was taken to vote today and passed successfully. So we'll bring that to the board for the vote in the April meeting. But we got moving on that in a timely fashion. And Trevor's here tonight, but it worked out great. It was good collaborative discussion, good input, feedback from the board as we move through, and we're able to get that done. So that's a huge piece, and we'll bring that to you in April. So it's coming quick. Another note, prior to spring break, you've heard me talk about this before, I'm trying to get postings out for positions we need to fill for next year. That's usually that time where people who may be looking to move from other districts take advantage of that. So over spring break, or prior to spring break, I'll have postings out for the positions we need to fill. And keep that application window open through the break. And then when we return, we'll begin the interview processes based on need. Principals right now in their buildings are working on master schedules. They're looking at staffing, and that's both professional staff of the LEA and then support staff out of LESPA. And meetings are occurring to try to figure out what we need to be whole to get into next school year. So that's happening as well, and you'll see postings going out soon. And then the last one, in Steve's presentation, he talked about the mentor book studies, our mentor meetings. We really began focusing more on the PLT process once it implemented and became more a part of our professional development with those bi-weekly meetings. So Steve actually takes a portion of these mentor meetings and really focuses on what the process looks like and how to hone your skills, how to be a better collaborative partners, what part of teaching and learning you should be focusing on, data, and so on. So constantly working with the new staff in our district, and we even open up with a little bit of that in new staff orientation. Not too much, but just to give them a little idea of what the PLT process looks like. So in last Monday's mentor meeting, there was over an hour spent with our new teachers in the district with the PLT process and the right questions to ask, how to keep it going, what works for their groups, what works within their own curriculum, vertically, horizontally, and everywhere. So it's been great to have that a part of our mentor meetings on top of everything else that we cover too. So really trying to push that PD with our staff. That's all I have. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
I do.
Yeah.
What jobs are we posting?
We have some professional teaching staff jobs, as well as support staff jobs. And we also have an administration job that'll be going out.
So how many teaching jobs and how many parapros?
Parapro will be hard to tell you right now, only because,
You're still.
yeah, so Dana and I will get together with principals all through May and then place those accordingly. With teaching jobs, without bringing my sheet out here, I think it's 6 to 7. We were able to absorb a position, as I talked to you about before. But with Friday's update, I'm more than happy to send the exact number. It's 6 or 7.
Yeah, okay.
They put me in the spot, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the next order of business is our budget update. Ms. Head.
So I have been in budget meetings with departments and principals to talk about current year budgets and prepare for next year's budget, to talk about needs. Mr. Fowler has joined me with the department budget meetings as well to talk through, just how operations are going, needs that we have into next year so that we can start putting together requests for needs and wants and move forward with the budget process that allows us to kind of narrow those down to make sure that we're within our funding limits. So that has been my focus last week and this week and probably into next week as well. So focusing hard on that so that I can get those done before spring break and start getting a budget put together. We will be bringing next month, hopefully, a renewal for our food service management contract, something that we have to do annually. We still have a few more years on it before we need to do a new bid process, which is what we have to do every 5 years. So this is just a standard renewal based on the current contract language. So we'll be working on that. Other than that, we did get our Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV application finally submitted. We do an initial allocation and application at the beginning of the school year, and then we do an amendment in the winter time when we know our actual final allocation. So the final allocation was released. We submitted our application, so that is at NDE's desk, waiting for them to approve it, and then we'll be able to get that one finally wrapped up with budgeting and all of that. So we did see an increase in our Title I, Title II, and Title III allocations overall. We did see a decrease in our Title IV. Title IV helps pay for instructional technology coaching here at the district and with our with St. Pat's, our private school in our boundaries. But the Title I pays for instructional support for low-income students. Title II is for professional development, so we use that grant to pay for our PLC conference that we take a team to in the summertime, as well as instructional technology coaching. And then Title III is for English language learner and immigrant students to provide additional language support for those kids. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Our final information agenda item is curriculum update. Mr. Dodd.
Yeah, very busy time of the year with, Dustin mentioned that we're planning master schedules and staffing for next year. We've got state assessments that are rolling downhill that will begin here shortly as we get into the third trimester. All of that is occurring as we wrap up trimester 2 and try to get third trimester up off the ground. So a lot of excitement and activity around the district. I had the opportunity to see a lot of our winter sports wrap up, and then I was at the high school today and saw our spring sports already out on the fields. And had a great day for it, fortunately. I'm not sure how long that's going to last for. I also want to mention the school musical. I had a chance to see that on Friday. If you haven't seen the musical, really well done again, and just a great example of collaborative skills. Like all of the students, I'm always amazed with the number of students we have participating on stage, backstage, and engaged in that collaborative creative process. So just a lot going on. And I think the highlight of my week last week was I got to be the guest reader in 2 classrooms at Bushnell Elementary for March's Reading Month. That's one of my favorite parts of this new job is, I don't know why, but whenever you go into the Bushnell Elementary, the students think that you're some kind of superstar. Just because you're not there every day. So you walk out feeling much better no matter what your day's been like. So lots going on around curriculum here as we wrap up the second trimester.
Thank you. Next order of business, public comments.
We have 2 tonight. Stephanie Boone.
Drive in Ada. In December 2022, I used the district's formal book reconsideration process to challenge the book All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Not surprisingly, the reconsideration committee, formed by some of the people on the committee, voted unanimously, and then the Board of Education followed suit and voted 6-1, Jared Lowell being the sole nay vote, to keep All Boys Aren't Blue, a book which contains pages upon pages of gay, incestual, sexually explicit adult material in our schools, still available to minor children. In the spring of 2023, Lowell art teacher Sarah Ellis took it upon herself to paint a series of artworks dedicated to her friend and LAS media specialist Christine Beechler. According to the June 6, 2023 MEA Voice, a Teachers Union magazine article you have in front of you, one of the paintings is a self-described homage to All Boys Aren't Blue. Ms. Ellis is quoted saying, "The very top book in the painting gives the illusion of the cover from All Boys Aren't Blue," and that she did it to acknowledge her friend and colleague's humanity in the face of personal attacks. Sadly, these and many other LAS staff members have somehow taken a formal book challenge as a personal attack. When I followed the process as set forth and remained professional throughout the entire process, there was nothing personal about my expressing my family's deep concern for a book that contains material which goes directly against our seriously, sincerely held religious beliefs. You know what is personal? The fact that this piece of art has been hanging directly behind the front desk of the LHS library since the summer of 2023, despite my pleading with Superintendent Fowler for it to be removed. The fact that every time my children or I enter the LHS library, or we see it on social media posts and in articles, we're faced with the knowledge that the schools we're supposed to be able to feel welcome in and trust have artwork meant to mock my family and our deeply held religious beliefs. It's everywhere. It's almost as if it's by design, right there behind the main front desk in the LHS library. I see no justification for this other than to make a mockery of my family's beliefs. Everyone knows I'm the one that made that challenge. I'm here tonight to formally ask the board to take action and demand that that piece of art be removed from the walls of Lowell area schools. You may not think anything of it, but it is discriminatory and extremely degrading to me and my family. If Miss Beechler loves it so much, and it is so personal to her, she can hang it in her living room. Public schools are to be a place of neutral learning for our children. Please take immediate action. Thank you.
Kim Long.
Kim Love, 4129 Causeway Drive, Lowell. A couple weeks ago or so, my delightful, almost 7-year-old granddaughter performed on stage for her elementary school's lip sync show. She was so excited and petrified too. I got to go and watch it. I was amazed at what that school staff and students did. I thought about the talent shows that we had at Cherry Creek when I taught, and how agonizing they were sometimes, because how cool that some kids got up there and did their thing, but how brave they were to stay the course. And others were just fantastic. Then I thought about other things, like we used to have kids in our classroom way back when there wasn't an art teacher. We would do plays in our class and invite parents to come to see the plays. And then I thought about, I was in crew in high school quite a long time ago. And then this weekend, I went to see Gigi and her group in Chicago Teen Edition. And I thought about all the kids in our community that get to be showcased for their own strengths. And they even get to reach outside what they think they're able to do. I saw lots of kids in this playbill that are on crew. And then I thought about other kids that want to do that next year. And I want to applaud Lowell area schools for offering those opportunities. They're not free. You know, the ticket's $20. It's not cheap to go either. I don't go to movies, so maybe it's the same. But we're paying for kids to find something new about themselves when we go. And we're showing a lot of people how cool it is. And yes, we had wrestling again this weekend. My great niece got to wrestle 3 times Friday, and then she was done with her state competition. She did not get an award, but she persevered. A lot of kids in Lowell have been persevering a long time. One of my little friends is a senior, and she's starting her last season as a soccer goalie for Lowell. And I know she has worked hard to be in that spot. I think all our kids need our encouragement, whether it's arts, sports, other things that I don't even know exist, like, I'd like to know more about that. I call it craft class. I hear there's a craft club up there too. I think it's important for our kids to have these opportunities. Keep it up, Lowell area schools. Well done.
Next order of business is our superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. You know, as has been mentioned, today was the first day of the 3rd trimester. Just want to thank the work that's done by all of our students, their families, staff, administrators for a successful second try. Mr. Goss reports, we saw just the academic excellence. We've heard a lot about some of the artistic excellence that we get to experience in our school and community. So there are tickets available. I know that because I got them today for this upcoming weekend show. So looking forward to seeing Chicago Teen Edition next weekend. Also, I just want to mention some of the congratulations that we've celebrated with some of our athletes. Our winter sports teams, we had athletes compete at the state finals as individuals in bowling, in skiing, gymnastics, and of course wrestling. A special congratulations go out to Jarrett Smith, who won an individual state championship for the 3rd time, and Tatiana Castillo, who won for a 2nd time for state championships in wrestling. We had 3 hockey players who competed on Caledonia's state semifinalist hockey team as part of our co-op program. And then our wrestling team won its 13th consecutive and 16th overall state team championship. That consecutive streak encompasses a tenure of 3 coaches now. And I just was struck by that weekend. It's easy to take the success that our wrestling program has had for granted, but just so impressed by our student athletes that weekend. Was proud of the number of kids who stepped on the mat to wrestle, the energy and the enthusiasm with which they wrestled and competed that weekend, and just the way they carried themselves off the mat. I was very proud of our teams, and I think it encompasses all of what we've talked about for our whole programs. Another organization that deserves some recognition that had an amazing weekend last weekend is our FFA program. Had a successful trip to the state convention at Michigan State last week. Our Green Hand Conduct of Meeting team were state winners. Our ninth grader, Lillian Scott, was a state winner in Creed speaking. And then for the first time since Dave Hildebrand in the early 90s, we had a Lowell student get elected state president of the FFA. So congratulations to Frankie Eddy, who is going to be the state president of the state FFA for next year. So congratulations to the entire program. New leadership in both programs and just continuing the traditions of excellence that we've enjoyed with that. I want to echo Dustin's comments and just thank you to the drivers and congratulations for getting that. We've also heard a little bit about some upcoming work of the board. When we talked about this summer's sinking fund projects, the Murray Lake projects weren't ready yet. So bids for the Murray Lake roughing project are going to be opened on May 23rd, which is the March 23rd. May would be cutting it way too close. March 23rd, and so that's the evening of our March workshop. So probably won't have like a lot of information about the bids, just some general information, but that will be approved at the April meeting. So we'll give some general information to the board that evening that we have post-bid opening, and then as we go through the post-bid interviews, share more information about recommendations for that roofing project, and looking forward to getting that done. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that the next time we have a meeting like this, we'll be complete with phase 1 of Cherry Creek construction and moving on to phase 2. So the area that's currently used by the Y for before and after school care, the old computer lab, those areas are nearing completion. And so over spring break, the Cherry Creek music classes will be held in their new classroom for their music program. And so with phase 2, the current music room and all of those rooms kind of that go along Foreman on the east side of the building, those will start renovation, as well as the bathrooms on that side of the building, the locker rooms at Cherry Creek and the mezzanine above the gym. And then over the summertime, we start phase 3 while we're doing phase 2 as well, which is the 4th and 5th grade academic areas. And with the idea that as school starts, this phase 2 area will be some temporary classrooms for some of those classes that are displaced. So a lot of progress has been made so that things can really start flying this summer. So that's what I have for this evening, and looking forward to another great trimester.
Thank you. Next order of business is board communications. Jared?
I just want to say that I saw the plays last weekend, and it was awesome. Just the time that those kids put in was crazy. The costumes, oh my gosh. It was nuts. It was like a Broadway show.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Annie?
I've talked with Nate about this briefly over email, but I wanted to maybe even just bring it up to the board in general, since you brought up the Cherry Creek renovation and all these teachers being displaced and having to constantly be moving all of their things. You know, I wonder if the board would want to consider some sort of service project where we offer to load some boxes or to put some work into it. Particularly knowing that some are happening in spring break, right, with the music?
Well, one.
Okay, one. Okay, so yeah, just something to think about. If anyone's interested, I'd be happy to coordinate something.
I'm gonna be around, so,
All right.
you know,
I might regret that offering later when they see how much stuff they have, but I think that could be fun.
Lori?
I saw the musical over the weekend as well, and, you know, we've put a lot of money into the Performing Arts Center over the last few years, because when your light board goes out, that's thousands of dollars, and you have to have a fire curtain in the back, and that's tens of thousands of dollars, and I think people kind of tend to look at the small picture, and that's the number of dollars that we spend. If you look at the big picture and consider the fact that the LPAC is the most used facility in our entire district, and you amortize that over 30 years, because that's how long the seats have been in there, it's pennies. And so for the bang that we get for the buck that we put in is way, way, way beyond what you can even imagine. So it just I thank my fellow board members for being open to investing in that, because it is such an integral part of our school district, and we serve everybody. We serve public, we serve the school itself, classrooms, that kind of thing. So a great investment.
Thank you. Yes?
Congrats to all of the sporting teams on their state final wins and FFA, as well as the musical. I also attended this weekend, and Gigi, great job. And yes, I second what Jared said, those costumes are like out of this world.
It's fun to hear the rundown of all the cool stuff that our students are doing. It just makes you proud of the character and the dedication and the hard work of our students, our coaches, our staff, our advisors. Lowell's definitely a good place to be.
I would say a great place to be.
I didn't want to.
Well, the next place.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Mr. Goff for the information today. You know, that for me, being the kind of an engineering geek data person, this was gold. I mean, they're lagging indicators that are there, but the leading indicators we've been seeing, and now we're tying them to the strategic plans. The meetings that you talked about are giving us real-time feedback to make corrective action. The Plan, Do, Check, Act process is working. It's great to see it. So I'm excited to see more. Thank you for the reports, and I'm looking forward to continuing to see them. With that, motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Moved by Lori, could I get support?
I'll support.
Support by Jessica. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 7:45. It's still there.
Like, I commented.
And I'm like, I guess it's, you know, think about